Nigeria's Senate President Godswill Akpabio has announced the names of the 10th Senate Majority Caucus leaders. The Ekiti Central lawmaker, Okpayemi Bamidele, was named the Senate Majority Leader, while Senator Dave Umahi from Ebonyi State in southeast of Nigeria was announced as the Deputy Majority Leader. Senator Ali Ndume of Borno South as the new Chief Whip, and Senator Lola Ashiru of Kwara South as Deputy Whip. Akpabio also announced the names of minority principal officers. They are Senator Simon Davu from Plateau North, from the People's Democratic Party, Minority Leader Oyewumi Olare from Osun West, also of the People's Democratic Party, and as the Deputy Minority Leader, Darlington Mokocha from Abia Central of the Labour Party Minority Whip. Now, similarly, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, also revealed the names of the principal officers in the Green Chamber. They include Julius Ihowere of the APC from Edo State as the House Majority Leader, Halims Abdullahi, APC, Kogi Deputy Majority Leader, and Bello Kumo, also of APC, from Gombe State as the Chief Whip, Adeomi Ononuga, APC, Ogun Deputy Chief Whip. With the appointments of the chief officers completed, the 10th Senate can now begin to drive its legislative agenda. Now, with the appointment of principal officers as listed complete, the Senate is now prepared for its upcoming task. The first order of business will be the anticipated screening of the President's ministerial list. The big question is, can this Senate hold the executive to account? Let's deepen the conversation now and bring in former senator who represented Abia North Senatorial District in the 8th National Assembly, who also served in the 4th and 5th National Assembly as member representing Arochukwu Ohafia constituency of Abia State, Senator Mao Ohuabunwa. Good to see you, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. Pleasure
Quite
to be
an
here.
interesting moment, and yes. I know sitting here, you should have a bird's eye view of how this panned out. Now, let's first of all speak about the 10th Assembly and the composition so far. What do you think?
Well, first and foremost, let me say that today actually should be one of my happiest days. Well, from what you read, I'm an alumni of the National Assembly, having moved from the House to the Senate. And in the House, I was the leader before going to the Senate. And while in the Senate as a chairman of committee, I was also a leader in that sense. For me, from 1999, when we got into the House of Representatives, we have always tried to establish the independence of the National Assembly. You will remember the issue of the Toronto Gate when Buhari,
yes.
Salisu Buhari was removed.
That was the speaker then?
Yeah, the speaker then. Then the party and the executive wanted to impose somebody. Before they came back, we had come together and elected Gale Naba. And I believe that if you're a political student and student of history, we still look forward to seeing a National Assembly or House of Reps that will surpass the performance of that assembly. Then we continued 2023, 2003, 2007. Eventually, when I left there, I got to the Senate. You also can remember what happened in 2015. The Saraki time. There was also supposed to be an imposition. We fought it, and that was how Saraki emerged. And you can also agree that that was why the Ninth Assembly was christened a rubber stamp assembly, not me. Nigerians felt so, at least looking at what happened in 2015 to 2019. Because the parliament, yes, is actually the true representative of the people. That is the bastion of democracy. That's every other, that is where you represent the people, the constituency. Without the parliament, is autocracy. It's the parliament, because remember that during the military, we had the executive, we had judiciary. The only thing that tells you that you are in a democratic dispensation is the National Assembly or the Parliament, so to say. So without the Parliament having some teeth, irrespective of the complementary nature of the functions, because judiciary, executive, especially executive legislature, should be complementary. But all the same, the Constitution has given the teeth and power to the Parliament to check the excesses of the executive. And also, don't forget that the power of the purse, the power to budget, to approve budget, is in your hands. So the only way I have seen we miss it is in the area of oversighting, which is a key area. But I come to that. But as regards what is trending today, for me, it's a thing of joy that when I heard the Senate President announce that this is by consensus, which shows that the people, the Parliament, membership of the Senate or membership of the House of Representatives have come together in agreement to say this is what should be. You know, people are recovering from the carryover or drunkenness of the past when you had party leadership. I tell you, when we came in 1999, there were three major parties that were represented in the Parliament. You had the AD, Advanced Alliance for Democracy or whatever, the AD, well. Then you had APP. Then you had PDP, which was a majority. Then you had a majority leader. You had a majority this. Then APP had its own retinue of principal officers. They had the APP leader, APP whip, APP deputy, and all that. The same thing with, what do you call it? AD. That was this AT, was then the AD whip when we were in our first tenure. But in 2003, we decided to come in line with presidential system of governance or democracy, where party is just a vehicle. Parties function in the emergence of the leadership of the National Assembly is advisory. I know that the major problem, even from what you read today, is what do you call it now? That is, people are still using the wrong word. It's no more supposed to be majority. A Senate leader should be Senate leader. Is the leader of the Senate, not leader of the majority. Minority is because the entire minority party are now one. They've come together. That's why I'm also happy with what happened today. Has never happened before. If you watch today, from what you read, both in the House and the Senate, you have PDP as the majority party taking about two of the positions. One position went to Labour. I think another one went to NMPP. That is what minority is all about. It's gone beyond, will I say, winner takes it all. When one party will sit down, write a list and say, this is our, maybe that's what is happening at the state levels, at the state assembly. No more. So people should begin to know, yeah, what I'm talking about is the nomenclature. Yeah. Nomenclature, it's use of nomenclature, because the leader, the Senate should be Senate leader. When we started first, I was the deputy majority leader. Then later, my abbreviation changed to DHL. DHL means deputy house leader. You are now the leader of the entire house. The house is one. The Senate is one. But the minority is also one, because there must be an opposition. So the parties in opposition will also come together, elect their leadership, which is actually what has happened today. We've not gotten there, but for me, I'm excited because I've seen that the tree we planted 1999, watered in 2003, is yielding result. And I believe that if we continue this way, by 2027 thereabout, nobody will be talking about whether president is interested in who will be Senate president or not. It will be all of us will sit down together and decide. Suleiman, this is going to be our leader, this is going to be our leader, and so shall it be. And that's why you see that you also, when you're elected, you're primus inter pares, you're first amongst equal. You can come into the chamber with retinue of paraphernalia of office and you go out, maybe if you're impeached, you will just sneak out. No more paraphernalia of office.
Because now let's go back. You're excited about the consensus,
Yes.
arrangement here, which
Yes.
is very key, irrespective of political parties.
Yeah.
Is this as a result of the number, for instance, the number of new entrants into the Green Chamber? Speaking of the House of Representatives.
No, are you talking about the
composition,
the leadership or the minority?
Because no, I'm speaking of the bickering, which we have always seen. But for the first time in a long time, we're getting to see a consensus.
Yes.
And I'm asking, is it as a result of the new faces
Yes.
that have populated the National Assembly?
No,
so it was so
don't-
easy for them to arrive at a consensus.
Don't forget that when you have a child, he becomes a baby, toddler, what do you call it? He becomes a youth and all that. You see, democracy is enduring, it's growing. It didn't start this way. You know that before, just like most people are alluding to today, the party sits down and decide everything. As of today, the party would have written a list who will be the Senate president, who will be the speaker, who will be the leader. Either you like it or no, but it's changing. That's why you see people are like I hear, maybe you know better than I, that some party leadership are saying they are not part of that arrangement. You're not supposed to be part of that arrangement. You're only supposed to be informed. Your role should be advisory to guide. Like I said, pre-2003, you had party whips. Their responsibility is to whip party members to line, to follow the decision of the party. It's no more. We're no more in parliamentary system. We're in presidential system. The leader, like the whip, the whip of the Senate, is the whip to every person. He whips you that you must fall in line depending on the decision of the Senate. No more of your party. But before, that's what it was. Party this, party that. But then now you have the entire minority together. They can take a minority decision. They are the opposing voice. Maybe when they see the executive and when they see the party in government, because that's what it should be. It's not more majority party, it should be party in government.
So from your analysis now,
Yes.
Nigerians should stop looking at these people as party members, but people who are out there for the interests of the nation.
That's exactly what it should be.
Good.
Because the party is just a vehicle. It's like if I'm coming to...
Now they are the destination, which is the National Assembly.
Yes.
Now let's speak more about the people and see what they can do. The much talked about presidential ministerial list is one thing that a lot of Nigerians are hoping to see in the next days to come.
Yes.
What do you expect from the National Assembly that is a consensus National Assembly?
Well,
looking at that list, which ordinarily may not also be favorable to some other political parties that are there,
yes.
How will they also arrive at a consensus looking at the nominees?
Yes. And you can see that without, I don't know whether it's divinely arranged, things are working out the way. Because I heard that the president said he was going to form a government of national unity. So I heard, but until we see that list. What I understand by government of national unity, which means you will not concentrate purely on your party members. Maybe you take people from other parties, those you believe that have the capacity to be part of what you want to do because you have your program. So I also expect that by the time this list comes to the National Assembly, the National Assembly definitely should do the needful. First and foremost, who are these persons? What are their CVs, their antecedents? Because I've always said, one time I was here, before the election of the Senate president, I talked about integrity. I talked about character. And democracy today, I think we're on the 5th or 6th lap. So for the first time, there had never been any interregnum. There have never been any, anything that is not democracy now is an aberration. Yeah. So what I'm saying, we have come a long way that we should be able to know people, know their antecedents, know who they are, their character. And I've told people, if you see somebody of shaky character and you can prove it, raise an alarm. Petition the Senate and let them read it and check it. Like I know that from the executive point, before they send the list, they normally do the profile, security check or security profiling. They do that. But that is by the way. But you as the man now whose responsibility is to approve. Because at times you should even be held responsible. Which is why most people are saying...
The National Assembly can be held responsible.
Yes, because you approve. The president is only a nominator. He's only nominating. The approval is from the Senate. The president is only nominating. Because if the Senate turns down a nominee of the president, so shall it be. The president cannot appoint that person. It's constitutional. Which is why most people, you watch, some people are, well, I wouldn't say most people, some people are saying today that you should attach portfolios. But for me, I don't agree with attaching portfolio because by Nigerian system, we swerve positions. The president can, after 1 year, he feels, oh, Suleiman, well, when I took you as a media person, but from your performance, I see you can do well in transport. He doesn't need to come back to the Senate. He moves you. But if you attach positions, when you are screened and approved, nobody can change you except coming back to the
So this
Senate.
explains why many Nigerians who say positions should be attached to such names doesn't hold water. But quickly, let's touch on this chief whip. If you say this is not based on party, and once you get in there, you are a chief whip of the Nigerian Senate.
That if you're elected. If you're elected,
yes. But why do we now still have minority and majority whip?
No, it's not majority whip. That's what I'm telling you. It's nomenclature. He's now the Senate whip. He's now the Senate leader.
So in other words, what has been released today is wrongly termed.
By nomenclature, yes, from what you read. It's not what it should be. I have told you that 1999. Okay, let me even tell you. I was discussing with somebody, remember those days when Olushola Saraki, he was a Senate leader. He was Christian Senate leader. Do you understand? But you know, when we came back to the Fourth Republic, luckily I was privileged to be part of it, then every party was recognized as a party. Then they had their own principal officers. Now the majority party became majority leader. But in 2003, that was harmonized. You dropped, we now went back fully into a presidential system where you now have a Senate leader, you have Senate whip, you have minority. And minority, like today, if it was before, you would have had a PDP majority leader. I'm just using an example. Then you now have a Labour Party leader, whip, that order. Then you have NMPP. I think Abga, maybe you become one man principal officer.
Let's see if we can. We're almost out of time.
We've gone far beyond that now. So it's one thing. You Senate leader is to, if I found out that the Senate president made that statement of majority leader, personally, by my position, I will write.
All right then.
Because it's wrong. It's a wrong nomenclature. Yeah.
Let's close on this. If you say the Ninth Assembly is a rubber,
No, I didn't say so.
You said Nigerians.
Well,
you said Nigerians.
We hear them say so.
You said that you've heard Nigerians say
so, yes.
that the Ninth Assembly was a rubber stamp,
yes.
and you also say you're excited about what you've seen today about the 10th Assembly. But again, don't you think it just might also be a rubber stamp, knowing full well that some of the principal leaders are people, for instance, the party wanted Akpabio, who is today the Senate president, and some people were also one very close ally of the president, who were once commissioners. So how do you think that this will not give Nigerians the impetus to name the 10th Assembly as they have named the 9th Assembly?
But like I said, in the party, their role is advisory. The party can say, this is our candidate. Just like what happened. Party had a candidate, but did he become? You even remember using APC, I'm not APC, but using APC as a point of reference. You are aware that the party chairman came out and announced that the party candidate for the presidency is Ahmed Lawan. Didn't you hear it? But did he become? That is the party, but the people now say, the party members say, no, let's go to the field. That is democracy. Also, like you said about the 10th Assembly leadership, I'm aware that the party said yes, but they went to the field. They voted. And you saw what happened. And it was a very keen, is it 46 to 63 or so, thereabout. It was a very keen contest. But you know that so many things played out there, so many things, because of carryover too from the last regime, this last regime. Don't forget that the last regime, to a large extent, almost, how will I put it, denigrated the principle of federal character, brought in religion and so many. So today, people are still using that as point of reference.
I'm hoping we'll have this conversation again, and so we can also ask why you're not back at that very hallowed chamber. Well, you should be back.
No, I'm in the tribunal. Maybe.
All right, yes. Well, thank you for your time, Senator Ohuabunwa. Many thanks for your insight.